As things get easier, people are more likely to kill themselves. As things get easier, people are more likely to be depressed. As things get easier, people are more anxious. During the Blitz in London, for example, 30,000 people were killed by German bombs. It was a horror show. And the English government was prepared for mass psychiatric casualties because it's a civilian population getting bombed to bits. And the opposite happened. Admissions to psych wards went down during the Blitz and then back up after the bombing stopped. And then afterwards, there was an enormous nostalgia in England for the Blitz, for those days, as tragic as they were, because people felt like they were together. People were sleeping shoulder to shoulder in the tube stations and putting out fires with bucket brigades and digging people out of rubble, and they were acting as a unified society. Later, I went back to Sarajevo, where I'd been during the siege of Sarajevo in the early 90s, and civilians would tell me, this is 20 years later, 20 years after the war, people would say, a lot of us missed the war because we were better people back then. We took care of each other.
I've talked about that with September 11th. I went to New York City, and I was there a couple times, and before September 11th and after September 11th, there was a very clear difference in the way people were behaving. People seemed to be more friendly, more open. They were really appreciative of first responders. I was there once, and a friend of mine, she fainted, and so they called the fire department, came to check her out, and when the firemen showed up, man, you would think fucking superhero showed up. It was amazing. Everybody was so happy to see him.
When the night has come.
I live in New York City. After the attacks of 9/11, the suicide rate went down in New York. Not up, it went down. Trauma is supposed to lead to suicide. What's going on? It's a totally traumatized city.
No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't.
It was a traumatized city, but because we were traumatized, everyone knew that they were needed, that their people needed them. And when you give people a task, like, you know what, you can kill yourself later, but right now we actually need you. Right? When you do that, people are so grateful. It makes them feel so good to be needed, to be necessary. You give people a task, a job, and they will forget their own troubles. And therein lies a great, great comfort for them, actually. When you do that, people are so grateful. It makes them feel so good to be needed, to be necessary. Adversity produces pro-social behaviors. Adversity makes people act well. The lack of adversity, safety, and comfort allow people to act selfishly. And it's in the face of hardship and danger that people come to understand their value to their society, and they get their sense of meaning from that. It makes it feel so good to be needed, to be necessary. I mean, one of the sort of sad ironies of modern society is that we are so affluent and so safe that individually none of us are ever needed by the society. Society continues on fine without us. We're never asked, our country and our community never ask anything from us because they never need us, right? And if you feel needed, you are able to ignore your own personal troubles. As someone in England, an official said during the Blitz in London, he said, "It's amazing we have the chronic neurotics of peacetime driving ambulances."
All the mountains should crumble to the
And I studied one earthquake in Italy, in Avezzano. I mean, understand that in that area, if I'm remembering correctly, 96% of the population was killed instantly. They were basically hit by a nuclear weapon, right? And the people that survived were on their own for days until the government got there. And the survivor wrote about it and said that the earthquake had produced what the law promises but cannot in fact deliver, which is the equality of all men, of all people.